Thank you for inviting me. My name is Vanessa Lamounier de Assis. I am a Brazilian Dutch visual artist, graduated as an architect, and mother of 2 children. My practice moves across installation, photography, painting, and the production of tactile objects. I come from Brazil, a continent-sized country in South America, the only to have Portuguese as an official language and with elevated levels of crime, corruption, and social inequality. I was born and raised in Belo Horizonte, the capital of Minas Gerais, a large inland state known for its colonial towns, rich in minerals like iron and gold, populated by farms producing coffee and milk, and home to one of the most influential Brazilian presidents, Juscelino Kubitschek, elected in 1955 and responsible for the construction of the new capital city, Brasília, designed by Lúcio Costa and Oscar Niemeyer in 1956. I was born in a family of engineers, and I grew up in the 70s with a color TV, spending the weekends in a house with a swimming pool and some exotic domesticated animals like Macau parrot and mini monkey, and under military dictatorship, a governmental structure established in 1964 with support from the United States and all conservative elements in Brazilian society, among the middle and upper classes. The military regime in Brazil lasted for 21 years, and particularly after 1968, practiced extensive censorship and committed human rights violations. During this period of fear and repression, a Brazilian cultural movement began to emerge, showing its own tropical logic, tropicalia, a term originally coined by Hélio Oiticica to describe a piece of installation art which combined modernist architecture and Brazil's nature with a favela-like interior. Tropicalia was a symbol of resistance and the basis of my artistic formation. My first contact with it started in my childhood through music, and it had an enduring impact in the way I see the world. In 1997, after finishing the first phase of my education as an architect, I left Brazil and came to live in Europe. I moved to the Netherlands, and my settling in Rotterdam led me to a radical change in my life. It was also in this time that I came into contact with the solid and sophisticated architectural culture of OMA, working at Rem Koolhaas' office. At the same time, I started sewing my first dolls as a substitute of family and friends, many of whom I left behind in Brazil. For me, the late 90s and the subsequent decade represented the difficulties of a transition to a new country. I continued my education as an architect at TU Delft. In 2002, I got my first child, and in 2006, I finished the Master for Interior Architecture in Delft, with the design of a museum for contemporary art. At that time, I used to live 5 minutes walking from Boijmans Museum in Rotterdam, and from 2002 to 2006, I used to visit Boijmans 4 times a week. The experience of seeing art exhibitions on daily basis turned out to be the most important complementation to my education in Delft. No wonder, in 2006, after my graduation, I decided to change my career and to become an artist. By taking this decision, I became a constant visitor of former Vita de Witt Center for Contemporary Art, now Kunstinstituut Meli, attending to all lectures, symposiums, seminars, day trips, and openings. In 2007, I moved into a house with a backyard and started taking my first self-portraits. On my selfies, the initial recognition of myself is a misrecognition because these photographs challenge an accurate representation of myself. My portraits indicate a failure of my identity as a member of a specific cultural group, presenting me as the suspicious other. The self-image has been a lasting motive in my practice. Some years ago, I started making my selfies in motion. In 2009, I got pregnant of my second child. Because of the fast changes in my body, I began to work only sitting and start making collages. For 4 years, I concentrated my practice on the production of collages, erotic collages, and photomontages, in which I kept on investigating the concept of the other, the feminine element from the outset, the female body, breastfeeding, motherhood, sexuality, and erotism. My collages could not fail to be perceived as provocative because of the explicit disturbance they present of the idea of otherness, whether that be cultural, intellectual, or political otherness. When I rented my studio in Rotterdam in 2014, I started to work with installation and to explore the idea of the mirrored space. My installation work reflects my engagement with abstraction and the influence architecture has on my thinking. One key idea underlying the use of mirrors in my work is that mirrors not only present us with space and light, but also dissolve the viewer's perception of space. So, mirrors appear to dislocate our sense of self-presence and play with our orientation, sometimes creating a tangible abyss, both threatening and seductive. Grounded in an experience of the body, mattress became another core element in my work. The soft surface of a mattress structures an experience of immersion in which we penetrate the work physically, appealing to relaxation. Parallel to the construction of space, I started making sculptural objects in the form of soft toys that stimulate sensory perception. Flash pink, golden lame fabric, and transparent stockings are the main colors and materials I use for constructing these works. In 2020, during the first lockdown, I started to work with painting. The way I operate with color, shape, ideas, and composition while painting have a symbiotic relationship with my whole artistic practice. My biggest influences are Clarice Lispector, Isa Genskan, Armando, Man Ray, Carlos Drummond de Andrade, Vincent van Gogh, Simone de Beauvoir, Yoko Ono, Pablo Picasso, Constant, Andy Warhol, Basquiat, and Louis Bourgeois. At this moment, I am concentrated on the subject as having an essence, on ideas of superfragility, on the fear of loss, and the joys of loving and changing. The advice I would give to my younger self is don't give up, especially when people or institutions say you are not an artist. The biggest challenge of being an artist, in my case, is to make a living from art. Especially with photography, I've been often experimenting with unconventional media as strange as fresh fruit package, my children's and my own hair, water, salt, olive oil, beet for pink dyeing, and natural forces like the wind and rain. Listening to both music and background noises while working works well for me because it helps me to concentrate. The best reaction someone had to my work was as follows. I just wanted to point out that you don't fit into any category, so they consider you dangerous and try to make it impossible for you to prevail. You don't give them enough handholds, you stretch and expand the boundaries of your imagination. You hold up a symbolic mirror. You put those who think they are creative in a difficult situation. For me, making art is about exploring the transformative potential of an aesthetic experience. So I hope people take away from my artwork a deeper understanding of their emotions, and also that my work makes them feel alive.